If you enjoy learning the Cherokee language with RSU TV, join our Signal Society. Your monthly gift of $10 a month ensures that RSU TV can continue to produce programs like the Cherokee language classes. Click the link in the description or call 1-800-823-7210 to join today.
Welcome to Cherokee 2 here at RSU TV. Wade Blevins, Dawaton.
Osion Melusa Dawadon, like at the Gagan, Uliheli Stahan Kohig Gidero.
Excellent. So, Kohig, Nugsko, Joine, Jalagia de Loquast. Today is the 43rd Cherokee lesson. Once again, we're really happy to have Miss Melvina Shot-Pouch joining us today. Melvina is a first language speaker. Your mother was a monolingual speaker, right? She only talked Cherokee, is that correct? So that's such a wonderful asset to have grown up with. Melvina and I. We both have an interest in Cherokee plants and in because her mother and her grandma that's what they used. They didn't go to Dr. Lawton.
No, not till we made them.
Yeah, so they just used what they had around.
What they knew.
Yeah. And so my interest in plants is I love the uses, but also the names for them, because that's one of the things that I think is dying out, is our being able to recognize them and to know the Cherokee names for them. And so that's been one of my that's one of the things that she and I kind of share in common. Is to look at plants and to try to remember the names for
Help
them.
each other identify.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that's a piece of knowledge that also needs to be carried on. So come idalena jalagi diwone. All right, so Okay, so our reading selection today is a big one. Why did I pick that? Okay, but I'm sure there was a reason. There was a reason why we picked this one. In looking through there, we'll go through. It says, Madu, let me change it to that little red dot. Madu, Agayi, Ayatotlan, so Matthew, the first chapter, Neladusine, 18th udalka verse. So the 18th verse. So it says, Naski no, and there's that Naski that we were talking about. Naski no, hia nulis tani dole, nuls tani dole, udena, jisa. Galoneda Naski Meli Jisa Uji Jowa Udayasti Udayasti Asigwo Nidana Jegana Nidana Jen Gana Gesei Uneli Jet Galgodi Galgodi Adan Don Udana Taylor Udan Taylor Udan Taylor. Let's see. We'll read our way through it. Okay, Naski no hi nuls tani dola. So this happened.
This is what happened.
Yeah, and now this is what happened. Udena, the birth, Jisa Galoned, of Jesus Christ. Galoned. What does that word translate to? I mean, I know that that that's what they used for Christ, but
Galoned means higher up. I mean, Galoned to me it's higher up. I mean, somebody that's
elevated.
Up.
Okay. Okay. Na ski meli, Jisa Uji, Mary, Jesus' mother, Joa, Joseph, Udayasti.
Spouse.
Were they married or were they gonna get married? Udayasti. It has something to do with marriage, doesn't it?
Uh-huh.
But
I guess it's that word espoused. I mean, whatever that.
Espoused. Yeah. I think espoused in English means that they were supposed to get married, but they're not married yet. So like, I guess we would call that engaged, right? In today's language. Sequel, before. Ni dana je gana. Before they ni dana je gana ge before they became married, right? How would you say ni dana je gun? I
don't know. Sound like engaged to me. I mean, that's a Cherokee word for engaged, but I don't know exactly how to say it.
Yeah. Ni dana je gana ge se. Uneli je galo godi. Isn't that like
holy?
Like beloved, or
beloved,
like holy, sacred. Adanto.
Holy Ghost.
Yeah, that Holy Ghost. Adanto can also be like a spirit or soul. Yeah. Udana te lahi. Udana te lahi. Is now which one of these words means pregnant? Unelije.
Unelije, and that's pregnant.
She's pregnant. And then this udon telahi. Oh, that's like she knew she was pregnant, or she found out. Is that what that was? Udana telahi. To me, that almost is related to the word like felt something. Udon telahi. Or udantelahi.
Felt or something new.
That's to me that's how that. But I'm just a learner, so but to me it almost sounds like that word, like udant
or revealed to her.
It was revealed to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
That she was pregnant. So naskino here nustanido le udena jisa galoned. So that's and this is something concerning the birth of Jesus Christ. This happened, right? Naski meli jisa uji jowa udayasti. So and then Jesus' mother Mary and Joseph were espoused, or she was espoused to Joseph. Sequel before. Nidan je gana. Nidana je gana. Nidana je gan ge se. Before before they got married, right? Or before they got together. They got together. Uneli pregnant. Gala godi adanto, the Holy Ghost. Udana Taylor. Udana Taylor. Udan Taylor. It was she found
out.
it was revealed to her. Okay. So, and then of course, if we read the English, it says, now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Ghost. Okay. So, that was a hard one.
Yeah, this
That was tough.
different.
Yeah, for sure. Not sure why I chose it, but that's okay. It will all be revealed later on, apparently. So, our conversational Cherokee word for today is to pretend. Telling somebody pretend. Jayela sestiwo. Jayela sestiwo. That means to pretend, or is that all? Can you use that also to like play or like play act?
Jayela
sestiwo.
Play. No, not really. Jayla. It's just more pretend. Jayla.
Pretend.
Jayla.
The only reason why I know this word, it's kind of a strange reason, because I know the word for in English they're called raven mockers. You know, because that word kolan ayelisk and jayela sesti, you know, because it means they're pretending to be
something
ravens, right?
Yeah.
And so these words are related to each other, jayela sesti. So, but that's telling somebody to pretend. Yeah. So, like if you wanted to say, like, pretend to be a dog, would you say, Gietli jayela sestiwo? Pretend to be a dog. Pretend to be a cat. Wes jayela sestiwo. Okay. How would you say, let's pretend, like you and me together, us pretend?
Ganiyela sestiwo.
Ganiyela sestiwo. Let's pretend to be dogs. Okay. Gietli. Okay.
Ganiyela sestiwo.
So jayela sestiwo is, and then the other one,
Ganiyela sestiwo.
ganiyela sestiwo. Okay, is let's pretend. All right. So let's go ahead and just write that. Okay. Let's put it. Ganiyela sestiwo. Ganiyela sestiwo is let's. And so for those of you that have little ones at home, or that have little ones that you're around or that you're trying to teach Cherokee to, this is a good word to use, you know, because kids play pretend all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how would you ask, like if a kid is playing and they're, you know, playing pretend, how would you ask them, what are you pretending to be? Okay. So you just say Gatoos Giela. What are you pretending? Okay. Gatoos Giela. So you don't have to use that sestiwo, just the Giela. What are you pretending?
To be.
Okay, good. All right, so here is our story. It's getting interesting. When we left the story, the daughter had come in, and they hugged each other and sat down, and the tall man wound himself around, and the fat man sat in the door. All right, so let's go back through. We'll remind ourselves what's going on. Sawu ukit ijanawada he ale sagu atu gist u je wo zhe i ji go ha ti o hu sit down hawa u dane u ga wi u weji Tla ost je ge son al stai ti kilo yogin go sana yigi a skili u yeja sagu yanwi hiwi yani skiwu skin iga ane donha dit ane donha dit uwena sa ugawi uwej muno sele galjohi askaya kohig Widanastayana. Oh, I said it right for once.
That's right. Yeah,
Finally.
Last.
Finally got it. Galjohi askaya du dane sona nigad joit school waka du gang ganeg uwu ya tana di kol di hyon nigad usane Tlaskin sawu ugit uti ya no le johit sku sedon dat least tu gist du detost kla uli squid yuwa tane onni utu gist degaye satan du ganadai skewus digisuli dot diksul dot winiki utadane galzohe askaya ugawi uwej uwenasa skili je donha Jayotla Nikatug Kanigit Waka Ale Kanigit Atu Geist At Skili Usquan Gosa Nudanela Kla Kilo Tal Jusquat Yigi Seskino Joe Adant Ahia skin only adant skinny only adant Tladin ye taltis Tladin ye taltis uweli se at skilly dagger gastes ko usa I'm going to take your head tonight. Woo! All right. Yiji tinoga. A gwej. A geha. Ko usa. Jajeli. A sirsti kanasula. Des dotlest. Le. Des tanugi tlest. Tlesti. I Hitlerna Senoi Dajiluchi. Do you say Dajiluchi or do you say Dajiluchi?
Dajiluchi.
That's what that to me Dajiluchi. I'm gonna come back. Tlesti Yidinugi le Yiki
Yidinugi tlest.
Yeah, Yidinugi tlan Yiki. Janula Haga. Det Daga Stacy. Ahidita Gesesti Adati Ueli Se Ugami Uwe Dodan Tla Yidaji Tlan. Yidaji Tlan.
I don't sleep.
Juice Daily Ski, we do yarn. Do no sele at skili nu wes. Agohi you at skili dagilo nas dani dagilo nas tani udane uganwi uwej ejak sest na uwej ageha kla wul tisti kana sula yikadule. Okay. Oh gosh. Sahiyedid uwej ageha agatinotla kana sula uganwi uwej unugitlane inigad oskaya dula westane ijul ale galjohit oskaya galohisti wu wotla or wu wotle tla gohust eli you yeartle we do not let. All right, so that brings us up to now.
Now, yeah.
All right, so the tall man has wound himself around, and the fat man sitting
in the doorway.
In the door. Okay, good deal. Now, it says, Kla yuwonise ageha. So the girl
didn't talk.
Yuwonise. She didn't speak. Kla yuwonise ageha. Okay, so that's in the past, okay? Because of course this story takes place in the past, so Tla yuwonise. If you are talking about right now and the girl is not, like she's not talking, Tla yigawoni, right?
Is warning.
Tla yigawoni, she's not speaking, but Tla yuwonise, she didn't talk. Ageha. Now, here's a question, just because we have a little bit of time. If you said Tla yuwoni son ageha, can you say that?
Tla yuwoni, so she don't talk.
She didn't talk at all. Yeah. That on means habitually, right? So she never talks. Yeah. Okay. So you can say that, and it makes sense. Tla yuwoni son.
That she don't talk.
Okay. Tla yuwoni son ageha. So the woman, she doesn't ever talk. But in this case, Tla yuwoni se ageha. It just means right now.
She didn't speak.
She didn't talk. In this point in the story, she just wasn't talking. Neta sonoi ugali se ukata. So the neta sonoi, the moon, ugali se.
It shone on her face.
Shone, yeah, ukata. Is that how you say face? Ukata. Ukata.
Ugali say it shone on her face. It was shining on her face.
Okay. And that's related to the word like agali.
Agali.
And that's like it's right now. Okay. And I was curious about this word because the only time I ever heard this word is in relationship to the sun. You know, like when you're talking about the weather, you know, and they'll say, oh, you know, agali, you know, like the sun's shining or the sun's out, you know. So I found it surprising to me that you can use this word to talk about the moon shining.
Yeah. Well, the moon shines too, y'all, same.
Yeah.
But they said nada sanoi, so they distinguished sanoi and night.
The night
light or whatever
thing,
it was.
yeah. The night object. Nada sanoi ugali se ukata.
Yeah.
So it's like this is saying the moon shone on her face.
Yeah.
Ukata. Then it says uganwi uwej wagago toastane wagaga toastane uwej ageha. Wagak to. Would you say wagak toast tane?
Looked at her.
Looked at her, yeah.
Looked at her.
Would you wagak toast tane?
Like they observed or looked at, you know, uweja, that's the daughter, yeah.
So would you say wagaga or would you say wagak?
Wagaga.
Wagaga toastane. Wagaga toastane. Okay, can you say it to me one more time?
Wagaga toastane.
Wagaga toastane. Uwejageha. So the prince like observed the daughter.
Look upon, you know.
Yeah. The prince stared at the daughter. Okay. And this word you can also use like when somebody's watching TV, right?
Toast. That would be toast.
Toast. Yeah. And this is related to it, but it's.
But you're looking at a person. I mean, you're not looking at object.
Yeah. Wagaga toast tane. Uwejageha. Uliheli jona kla yuduk tostane. Uliheli jona, he was happy.
Happy,
Kla yuduk tostane.
They closed their eyes or something.
So would you translate this like he was so happy that he didn't close his eyes?
No, he talked. Shla means no. You
toss tane.
Didn't blink the eye or something.
He didn't blink. Oh, yeah. He was so happy he didn't blink.
Yeah.
He was so happy he didn't close it. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay, that worked. See, wagak tosta uwejageha. He just
still looking at her. Still looking at the.
Yeah, just still looking
at the daughter.
that girl. Boy, she must really be pretty because. He just really was in love with her, wasn't he? Okay, would you say this one for the woman didn't speak? Okay, and then the moon shone on her face. The prince stared at the daughter.
So what's that first?
Ugawiyu?
Which? Okay.
And he was so happy he didn't close his eyes. He continued.
See, walk tested
Ah, yeah. Walk test. Like continued to watch. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. All right, so so we'll try this. We'll try to read our way through it. Tla yuwonise ageha. Tla yuwonise ageha. Okay. Nada sonoi ugalise. Ukata, ugawiyu, uwej, wagaga toast tane, uwej ageha, uliheli jona, kla yiduk tane tane, yiduk toast tane, yiduk toast tane. Si. Wagak toast, uwejageha, wagak toaster. Would you say wagak toaste or wagak toaster?
Wagak toaste. Keep looking, you know.
Yeah. Or you also said walk test, right?
Walk test.
See walk test, uwejageha. They kind of mean the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Just slightly different. Yeah.
The words that really get mixed up is like diaper, declosed. And break, digernaclosed.
Oh, digernaclosed, yeah.
People get those two words mixed up. A man said one time, he said, "Da wash lost na." He lost his break, but he said, "Da wash lost diaper." He lost his diaper. So words, they can mean, sound so much alike, but
Yeah.
there's totally two different words, It's
Yeah.
just how you, how it's said and how it's put,
Yeah. Well, and that's like the word, like we were talking earlier on the way here, we talked about the word to pass away, uyohusa, and the word to lose, uyohusele. Those are very similar. There's just one sound at the end.
Yeah.
Between somebody passing away and losing something to be lost.
Or even like a beginning word like ga or ni, sometimes ni, nihino or gano,
yeah.
I mean, nihino means how about you, and
you,
gano
yeah.
means how about them,
Yeah.
It just, one little word can make a totally different word.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes it fun, but makes it hard for a second language learner. But I think the best strategy is to listen to speakers as much as possible, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, that's
There
true.
are a lot now. There are some speakers there out in the world that may not be willing to help, and that's okay.
Well,
But
don't be offended if they laugh. I mean,
Right, yeah.
Don't be offended. I mean, if you want to learn, don't be offended.
Yeah, they're not laughing. A lot of times, they're not laughing really to make fun of you. It's just because
They hear it different. I mean,
yeah,
it's
it just
funny.
sounds
It's not
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just creates a funny picture in their mind, or whatever, and so I really encourage you to reach out to speakers that you might know. Even online, there are lots of options online. There are lots of speakers that are on social media like Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And I encourage you to seek them out. And most of them will be more than willing to help you learn.
Oh yeah. They are. I used to have a young man living in Kansas would call me. I can't think what his name is now, but I was still at work. 2, 3, 4 times a day he would call. He'd say, "What is this word?" And sometimes he stumped me, and I said, "Well," and I think one time he stumped me was farrier. His grandpa was a farrier, and he said, "What's the word farrier?" And I said, "I don't think there's a direct word for farrier, but a farrier is so willy la suslansk."
Right, yeah, somebody puts shoes on horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, but if you want to find a better word, you might ask somebody else. I said, but that's what I know as is.
Right, yeah.
So willy la suslansk, somebody put, shoes on a horse.
Yeah.
So, there's different words and somebody may know, because there are some old words which I'm not used today,
Right.
but I used to hear that I don't hear anymore,
Right.
So.
And if you don't hear them used, they're still in there somewhere, but it's hard to recall them, bring them out to the front,
Yeah.
And
So.
but yeah, as a second language learner, I really encourage you to listen to speakers as much as possible, and don't be afraid to ask.
That's right. Right.
In a respectful way, and accept the answers that you get, because sometimes we might think we know how something's supposed to be, but that's not how it is in a speaking community. Yeah, because and different communities use different things, and let's. Like this wagak toaster or wagak toaste, I've heard it done both ways. Some speakers hardly ever use the sound, and some speakers use it a lot. It means the same. Well, I mean, it doesn't to a speaker, it means the same thing. You know, if you look at it, like if you're into the grammar part of it, you know, and you've you know taken a linguistics class or a grammar class or something like that in Cherokee grammar, they will tell you that they do mean something slightly different. But in some communities they don't.
No.
Yeah, you know, we got wagak toast. To some speakers, that means he looked at and it's a fact that they did it. Wagak toast means he looked at her, but I didn't see him looking at her. You know, it was told to me that way.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's less. Well, this is a cold hard fact, you know, and that's how some speakers explain it to me, you know.
Yeah.
But then other speakers say no, they mean the exact same thing, and then some speakers say, well, I don't ever use, you know, I use
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, sometimes those words do make a difference in where it's put, you know. But some people use it different, you know. So, but like I said, don't be afraid to ask questions, because that's the only way you're going to learn. Just ask, you know.
And as a speaker, what advice could you give to a second language learner? You know, you know.
Well, wait, just like you know, I can see the difference when you first started, and you know, your words are a lot more easier to you than it's probably 4 years ago, or even before that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's because you use them more. You know, you speak it more, even maybe not even teaching a class, but at home. Now Braylee's there, you probably throw words at her. As before, you probably didn't have anybody to throw those words at, to somebody to correspond with you. You know,
right,
she'll probably say, "What?" Then you tell her, "This is what I'm saying." So you know, that's just to show. The more it's verbally used, you know, that's how the words, our language is going to continue, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. And, you know, and those of you that are language learners, I encourage you to create spaces to use the language, whether it be live, you know, like we were talking about. Like I have a daughter that I talk to her in Cherokee quite a bit, and I encourage others to talk to her in Cherokee quite a bit, you know. And of course, I am fortunate in that I live in a community where we have speakers like Melvina and
Joanne.
you know, and Joanne and Willora and Sarah and Dude and you know, I mean, there still are speakers in my community, and I know some of you may not have that at home, but if you do, try to create spaces, and that's one of the things that Melvina and I have talked about for a couple years now. We've talked about trying to get our speakers together more often, you know, so that we don't lose what we have, you know, and I encourage you to do the same. It doesn't cost money, you know, just find a place, let people know, and people are going to show up. You could do a potluck, you know, and just get people together and get people practicing and using, and don't be afraid to use it. But even if you live in a place, you know, maybe you live in California or Phoenix or someplace like that, where there aren't a lot of speakers, we live in a time where our worlds are so close together. You know, you can create virtual space for that. You can, you know, using Facebook or whatever, social media, or reaching out. I know there are some speakers that offer they have little Zoom meetings once a week. I know for a fact there are 2 that are going on right now, and they do it for free. They do it just because they feel passionate about the language, and they jump. They are first language speakers, and they jump on Zoom once a week, and they just talk, you know, and that's a wonderful way to learn. If you have a passion for the language, then I encourage you to do everything you can to expose yourself to more and more of the language, and you will get better. Just like she was saying with me, using the methodology that I'm using to teach this course with, and having somebody at home to talk to more has really helped for myself. I can recall words faster. Words just come naturally. I don't have to think about it, and that's really important when we come to what we call proficiency or fluency. You know,
or familiarize with somebody. If you know somebody, and most people like, I don't care, you know, for somebody to call me and ask me, you know, what's word, or even to converse. And I have people, elders out there that would love to talk to somebody, and just to be, you know, talking, and
absolutely,
just find somebody, familiarize with somebody, and they'd be glad to teach you. Like, that boy's last name was Webster. I was trying to think, what is it? Webster, and that's how he learned. And I've seen him since then, and he's pretty fluent with Cherokee now, because he learned those words, and now he's, you know, he may be teaching somewhere now. I can't remember last time I saw him, but just, like I say, familiarize with somebody, and they'll be glad to talk with you. Or go to an event. If you hear hog fry somewhere, normally there's somebody there that speaks Cherokee. You know, there's events that's free that people be glad to, you know, you could listen to.
Definitely. And you know, and if you're not a part of those communities, I encourage you to go and be respectful and be humble. Because you know, and of course you and I both know, there have been instances where people come in and they don't have maybe the right, they don't approach it in the right way. You know, and they're maybe a little pushy or a little off-putting to speakers, and so sometimes speakers don't want to help them because of that, because of the way that they approach the situation. So I encourage you to be friendly and be respectful and be humble, and don't go in acting better than somebody
show your
else.
gratitude that they take time out for you.
Absolutely, definitely. You know, and even offer, you know, you can take a little basket of groceries, or you can take you know, take them out to eat, something like that. They, you know, we Cherokees, we love to eat, and and you know, nobody's going to say no to food for sure. So I think that's you know, some great strategies.
And they
to
still
continue.
have all Cherokee singings. If you know, it's an all Cherokee singing. They don't use instrument. It's just, you know, singing. And there's a lot of speakers there, because they have to be a speaker. Well, not say a speaker. There are people that learn these songs. You know, they can sing, and they're not speakers. You know, but you can learn just by going to these singing. I don't know where they're at now. I used to keep up with what church. They travel to different churches. So, you know, if you find somebody that knows, probably DJ McCarter would be a good one to know, because he usually is there, you know, at all those singings and stuff. So,
you know, it would be really nice if they could stream those events live on, you know, and or even record them and put them on someplace like YouTube or something like that. So that those people that don't come from those communities
can hear them,
can listen and hear. You know, I loved listening. Growing up, of course, I grew up in church, and I grew up with hymns, and I love that. I love listening to singers sing in Cherokee. I love them, and the harmony. That was always.
You need no instrument with harmony.
No, you don't. You know, and almost every Cherokee singer that I know can sing harmony. Because it's, you didn't learn in school. We learned
in church.
In church, and from our families. You know, that's where I learned to sing. Was from my mom and my grandpa.
Grandpa was
because they were all singers, and you know, so there are a lot of opportunities, and I encourage you to take advantage of them, because if we don't take advantage of them, then we're not doing our part to help keep our language living. You know, so. What other recommendations can you give to somebody who's wanting to learn?
Well, there's, just like I say, just be around, find somebody, that you
Yeah.
can be around a lot, that, that is a speaker. And
I really liked your idea about elders because, like you said, a lot of elders don't have anybody to talk to because their kids and their grandkids probably aren't speakers. They don't have anybody that they can, and they appreciate the company. Even if it's in English, they appreciate
that
the company.
yeah.
Almost like an adopt a grandparent, kind
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, and that's what I always thought, like some school has grannies, but not, since COVID deal, it's kind of interfered with a lot of schools that have grannies. Why not have a Cherokee speaking granny come, and sit, to sit in class or in some, where the kids can hear her talk or whatever in the room, because I know they've got those programs where they can pay grannies to do that, so.
Well, and I remember at Jay, well, one of your sisters used to,
Mary and Sarah, they both have,
kind of been like that. They've been, they were there to talk in Cherokee
to kids, yes, and taught them how to sing again, singing. A lot of time kids can learn those songs pretty easy, and they know it, so.
And that's a wonderful first step, is to teach songs. There's just something about our brains and singing that helps us remember. So, and it's a universal thing.
But if you don't learn any other word, just remember agiosihan. Everybody knows that word.
Yes.
Agiosihan means I'm hungry. So.
Yes.
If you don't learn any other word, that's one good word to remember.
and remember, I'll start because you'll know it's time to eat, which is strange, because it's kind of, I guess, slang, isn't it? Because really, I'll start just means food.
Food,
right? But we know that when you hear that, that means it's time to eat. How else can you say it's time to eat? Like
Talstan huga.
Talstan huga.
Yeah. Alstaitin, so there's, I know my grandma, she always hollered Alstaitin, so we all know it's time to gather around and eat, so.
Yeah, that's what I always heard growing up. That's what I always heard.
Yeah.
One of our conversational Cherokee words that we had just last week, or a few lessons ago, was dohadane. What are you doing? When I was a kid, people would, usually the answer, they'd just say digohoost. But in speaking with Cherokee speakers down in other communities, they don't know that. They say tlagohoost, but I always heard digohoost. How do you do it?
Hagost, just hagohoost.
Oh yeah. And which is similar because it's hadigohoost.
Yeah.
And so again, that it just goes to show, but when you hear somebody say tlagohoost, you know what they mean. Or if they say digohoost, you know what it means.
Yeah.
Or tlagost, I've heard that, tlagost. And so that's the fun part, and again, we as a learner, we look at that as being strange or something, but it's no different than what we have in English. In English, we have different ways of saying the same thing. And I am personally happy that our language is still so strong that we have those differences, because it shows that our language is still rich and that it's still vibrant and thriving. So anyway, we kind of chased some rabbits here today, but this is all good for you to know, because I'm assuming probably you're taking this class because you have an interest in the language, and we want to definitely encourage you that even beyond this class to seek out more knowledge, because you're not going to come out of this class being a speaker. It's just not possible. It takes so many thousands of hours, and so this is to give you your first steps. and then what are you going to do next, you know? So anyway, so from all of us here at RSU TV and Cherokee Nation, I just want to say what don't, and I'll
They're the doggone.
all right, thanks.